This is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make this Granny Tears scarf. And this is an older tutorial that I had done several years back, and I went to share it actually, and I didn't like the pattern. It wasn't as clear as I would have made it now, and also the sides weren't perfectly even like I would have liked. So now, given that I have a bit more experience, I redesigned the pattern just a little bit, and I wanted to go ahead and revise the tutorial to redo it in HD. So this is that tutorial, and you can see I also made it in this kind of yarn where it doesn't change colors so fast, which gives it a nice, you know, striped pattern. So if you want to get yarn that doesn't change colors so fast, that's good. And then this is also one that is even longer to change colors. And this yarn here is a lace Baltic design, but you can use any kind of regular pattern, or just solid colors would also be good. This is very simple. I would say this is definitely a easy pattern, if not beginner. It's just basically like clusters. So what you're going to need for this pattern is a 5mm hook and some wash weight yarn, which is 4-ply for the US, 10-ply for Australia. And this stitch is worked, let's see if I wrote that, in multiples of 3 plus 2. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to be using a bit thicker yarn just so you can see the stitch really well. So I created my slip knot just a little bit further down, so I have a tail that I can hide in later, or you can add fringe later and just add it into the fringe. And I went ahead and chained in sets of 3 until I had 21 stitches, and then I did my plus 2, which gives me a total of 23 stitches. And you want to make sure that you don't chain tightly, but do it kind of loosely. Not real loose, but just not tight. So once you have your width of your scarf, and this one, by the way, if you want to know what size this was 14 centimeters or 5.5 inches wide. And I recommend getting 2 skeins as well, because unless you want a short scarf, because you definitely want to have it. I like to usually make it to where it comes over my shoulder and down the front of my torso and right to where my hips begin. So to get about that length, you definitely need at least 2 skeins. Okay, once you have your chain and you're ready to begin, what you want to do is yarn over and then count 3 chains down from your loop. So 1, 2, 3, and then this third chain, you want to insert your hook and pull up a loop. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Then you want to yarn over and only pull through 2 of the loops on your hook. Then you want to repeat by yarning over, going into the next stitch and pulling up a loop. Then again, you want to yarn over and only pull through 2 of the loops. And you'll do that one more time. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, then yarn over and only go through 2 loops, leaving you 4 loops on your hook. Then you want to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And whoops, I just lost my loop. You want to pull through all 4 loops, and then you want to chain 2. 1 and 2. And that's your first stitch. And then you want to repeat that. Yarn over, go in the very next stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through only 2 loops, and you'll repeat that again 2 more times. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. Yarn over and only pull through 2 loops. Then yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 of the loops. You've got 4 loops on your hook, and you've worked now in 3 stitches total. Then you want to yarn over and pull through all 4 of your loops and chain 2 to finish your stitch. Then you want to repeat that again to yarn over and go into your next stitch, pull through only 2, then yarn over, go into your next stitch, pull through only 2, yarn over, go into your next stitch and pull through only 2, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops and chain 2, and you'll want to repeat this for the rest of your row. Okay, I'm just finishing the last stitch here of my row, pulling through all 4 loops. Then you want to chain 2 as normal. Now to end the row, this very last chain that you worked your 3rd of your 3 stitches in, this very last chain, you want to go ahead and put a double crochet there as well. So you'll actually be working 2 stitches within the same stitch, one to end your cluster and then again to put your double crochet, and that will end your row and it'll keep it even. Now at the end of your row you want to chain 2 and turn. Now you have these big spaces that you just created, and these are what we're going to be working in from now on, except for the very last stitch of the row. So working in your first large space here, you want to work that whole stitch that we did before, these 3 of the cluster, right inside there, or what I'm calling the granny tiers, because that's what it looks like. It looks like a granny square, yet it's pulled together, so it kind of looks like a tier to me. So anyway, you want to start off by yarning over, going into that big space and pulling up a loop, and then yarning over and pulling through only 2, and then again yarn over, go back into that same big space and pull up a loop, yarn over, only pull through 2, then yarn over, go back into that big space for the 3rd and final time, then yarn over, pull through only 2, 4 loops on your hook, you'll pull through all 4 and chain 2, and then you'll move over to your next large space and you'll repeat. You'll start by yarning over, going into that big space, pulling up a loop and only pulling through 2. Then you'll repeat that again. Sorry, my yarn seems to want to run away from me here. So I just went into that space again and pulled up a loop, yarn over, pull through only 2, and then yarn over, go into it for the 3rd and final time, pull through only 2, 4 loops on your hook, pull through all 4 loops and chain 2, and you will repeat that in every space, and then when you get to the end I'll show you how to end your row. Okay, I've got to the end of my row. I just pulled through all 4 of my loops, then I'm going to chain 2 like you always do, and then you want to go to this chain 2 at the end. Remember at the very beginning chain where we had to skip 2 stitches and then start working in the 3rd? Well, it leaves us this chain 2 at the beginning, and it's backwards, so if you need to turn it this way to find the top of the chain, it may be easier that way. But when you find it, go ahead and put a double crochet in the top of that chain 2, and then you want to chain 2 and turn. Again, you're going to be working in the big spaces that are in between the granny tiers. So again, you'll yarn over, go into this first big space and start working your first granny tier there. And then you want to work it all the way until here, and then I'll show you how to end your row. Okay, I just finished the last big stitch of my row, and now I have my last cluster, and then this is the chain 2 from the previous row. So when you get to this point and you've worked your last granny tier in your last big space, you want to find the top of the chain 2 and work a double crochet in the top of that chain 2. And then you'll always want to chain 2 and turn. Now remember, at the end of this next row, again, you're going to want to work in each space, and when you get done with the very last large stitch here, the end of this row will be I can't tell, it's either going to be a chain 2 or a double crochet. But whether you're working with a chain 2 or a double crochet, it doesn't matter. I think it'll actually only be chain 2 either way. You always work after your very last space, big space is worked. You'll do you'll chain 2 after the stitch as always, and then you'll double crochet in the top of the chain 2. And then you'll just repeat that over and over again, and you should have straight edges. And these big spaces here, the very first row that you did, you can add fringe using those, and I bet it would look really nice. And that's it. That's how you make the granny tier scarf. Thank you so very much for watching, and if you like this video, please don't forget to click like. Also, you can check me out on Facebook. You can look up Facebook, Melodor's Creations, and you'll find me there, or you can find the link to all my social links in the description box below the video, as well as a link to the pattern with the pictures and everything you need. If you haven't subscribed yet, please don't forget to do that, and thanks so much for watching.